There comes a day in every life when the room grows quiet, not because you wanted peace, but because the people you thought would be standing beside you are suddenly gone. The friends who promised forever disappear when the storm hits. The colleagues who shook your hand melt away when the weight becomes too heavy. The family who swore loyalty avert their eyes when you look for help. And in that silence, in that crushing realization that you have been left alone, 1,000 thoughts rush through your mind. At first you feel betrayed. It's natural. You remember their words, "I'll always be there. We'll face this together. You can count on me," and you realize they were lies dressed as comfort, and betrayal burns. But then, after the sting fades, something even heavier settles in your chest. Loneliness. The kind of loneliness that feels like the world is pressing down on your shoulders, while everyone else watches from a safe distance. This is where most people break. This is where many collapse, because being left alone isn't just about losing company. It's about losing the illusion that someone else will save you, and illusions are comforting. They let you believe there's a safety net under the tightrope you walk. But when the net is ripped away, when you realize no one is coming, you are left with nothing but the tightrope and the dizzying fall beneath it. That's where you stood, abandoned, forgotten, doubted. But what they didn't know is that this very moment, this very abandonment, was the spark of something they could never control. You see, when people leave you, they think they've weakened you. They think you'll collapse without their presence, without their support, without their applause. But what they don't realize is that solitude is the forge of fire. When you are stripped of every crutch, when every comforting voice is gone, you discover something terrifying, not about them, but about yourself. You discover that you don't need them as much as you thought you did. You discover that your strength was never in their presence, it was always in your silence. Think about it. Every great story of transformation doesn't begin with applause. It begins with abandonment. It begins with rejection. It begins with people leaving, doubting, laughing, mocking. Moses was abandoned in a river before he became a prophet. Joseph was thrown into a pit by his brothers before he wore a crown. Jesus was left alone in the garden before he carried the cross. Muhammad faced years of isolation and mockery before his voice reshaped history. Every figure who ever changed the world first tasted the bitter poison of being left alone, and every one of them discovered the same truth. Loneliness is not the end, it is the beginning. But here's the twist. Being left alone doesn't make you weak, it makes you dangerous. Because once you realize that no one is coming to save you, you stop waiting, you stop begging, you stop hoping for someone else's hand to pull you up. And in that moment, you pick yourself up with your own hands. And that is the birth of danger. Because nothing is more terrifying to the world than someone who needs no one. In your loneliness, you discover discipline, you discover focus, you discover hunger. The very hunger they mocked becomes the fire they can't extinguish. The very silence they left you in becomes the training ground where you sharpen your soul. Alone, you begin to move differently. Alone, you begin to see differently. Alone, you begin to build something that cannot be shaken. And the irony, the same people who left you alone will one day return. But when they do, they won't find the same person they abandoned. They'll find someone sharper, stronger, hungrier, untouchable. Someone they can no longer control. So let this truth sink deep into you. The day they left you alone was not the day you were defeated. It was the day you were reborn. And while they laughed, while they whispered, while they believed you were finished, you were gathering something they could never take away, the kind of strength that only loneliness can teach. That's why this chapter is not about grief. It's about transformation. It's about the cruel paradox of life. The very moment they thought they broke you was the very moment you became unstoppable. And as this story unfolds, you will see what they couldn't. That solitude doesn't end you, it shapes you. That betrayal doesn't bury you, it plants you. That loneliness doesn't kill you, it makes you dangerous. The first cracks never appear when the world is watching. They appear in silence, in the nights when your chest feels heavy, when your pillow becomes the only witness to your tears, when your heart whispers questions that have no answers. That is where breaking begins. Not with explosions, not with thunder, but with whispers. You're not enough. You'll never make it. Why even try? And yet, the whispers don't only come from inside. They come from people you trusted, from those who smiled when you succeeded in small ways but smirked when you dreamed of something bigger, from those who said, "I'm here for you," until the road grew too dark for them to follow, from those who pretended to clap for you while secretly hoping you would trip. Every word, every doubt, every silence, it chips away at you like a hammer against stone. That's the cruel thing about life. Breaking often comes not from enemies, but from friends, from family, from people who knew exactly where to hit because they once held your heart in their hands. And when they strike, it cuts deeper than any stranger's blade. Imagine yourself standing with a dream in your hands. It's fragile, new, but it burns with possibility. You show it to the world, expecting awe, expecting love, expecting belief. But instead of applause, you hear laughter. Instead of encouragement, you see smirks. Instead of loyalty, you taste betrayal. One by one, the people you thought were your pillars begin to chip away at you, telling you in words or in silence you can't. At first you resist. You tell yourself their doubts don't matter. You try to hold the pieces together, smiling, even when your soul is bleeding. But there's only so much a heart can take. Slowly, the weight of rejection grows heavier. The cracks widen. You start to believe them. Maybe you're not enough. Maybe the dream was too big. Maybe they were right all along. This is the breaking point. It's the place where you question everything, where the mirror becomes your enemy, where your reflection sneers at you with the same disdain you saw in their eyes, where every step forward feels like dragging chains through mud. You try to breathe, but the air is thick with doubt. You try to speak, but your voice gets swallowed by silence. You try to hope, but hope slips through your fingers like water. And the worst part, you start to lose yourself. The person you used to be, the one who believed, the one who fought, the one who dreamed, starts to feel like a stranger. You remember their laughter, their whispers, their betrayal, and you ask yourself, am I really that foolish? Am I really this weak? This is where most people give up. This is where dreams die. Not in a spectacular collapse, but in quiet surrender. In the soft sigh of someone who decides to settle. In the bowed head of someone who believes the world more than they believe themselves. But you didn't stop here, because even as they broke you into pieces, even as the hammer fell again and again, something was happening beneath the surface. Something they couldn't see. Something you couldn't even feel yet. Pressure, the invisible force pressing on every crack, every wound, every scar. The kind of pressure that doesn't destroy, it transforms, you see. When they tried to break you, they forgot the truth that nature has been whispering since the beginning of time. The hardest things are created not in comfort, but in chaos. Diamonds are not born in open skies. They are forged in the deepest darkness, under unbearable pressure, in silence where no one is watching. And in your breaking, you were becoming. Think about it. Every time someone betrayed you, you learned who was truly by your side. Every time someone laughed at you, you grew more immune to their voices. Every time a piece of you shattered, the pressure inside reshaped it into something stronger. They thought they were ending you, but they were chiseling you. They thought they were burying you, but they were planting you. But in this first chapter of your story, all you could feel was the breaking. All you could see were the cracks. All you could taste was the bitterness of being underestimated. Nights stretched long, days blurred together, and hope felt like a cruel joke. Still, something inside refused to die. That tiny ember hidden beneath the ashes kept glowing, even when your own mind screamed against you, even when their voices drowned your thoughts, even when loneliness tried to suffocate you. That ember whispered, "Not yet, you are not finished." This is the paradox of the breaking point. It feels like death, but it is birth. It feels like the end, but it is the beginning. It feels like weakness, but it is strength in disguise. And only those who endure it can understand. The deeper the crack, the brighter the light that will eventually shine through. And so, while they celebrated your fall, while they clinked glasses over your failure, while they laughed in whispers you weren't supposed to hear, something was stirring. In the shadows, beneath the rubble of your broken pieces, a diamond was forming. They didn't know it yet. You didn't know it yet. But the pressure was working. And one day soon, the same voices that mocked you would go silent, not because you begged them to, but because your shine would blind them into silence. This is chapter 1, the breaking point, the place where they thought you ended, but where you secretly began. Pressure. It is a word most people fear. It is a weight that makes knees buckle, the unseen force that crushes lungs, the invisible storm that makes even the strongest cry out for relief. Most run from it, hide from it, curse it. But what they don't realize is that pressure is not the enemy. Pressure is the sculptor. Pressure is the fire that separates glass from diamond, coal from crystal, ordinary from unstoppable. When they tried to break you in pieces, they didn't realize they were putting you in the forge. They didn't understand that every ounce of doubt, every whisper of betrayal, every failure they celebrated was adding to the very pressure that was changing you at your core. At first, you didn't see it. All you felt was the crushing weight. The long nights where you wanted to scream but silence swallowed your voice. The mornings when your chest felt heavy before you even left the bed. The days when the world's laughter echoed louder than your own heartbeat. That was the pressure, pressing on every weakness, every crack, every scar. You thought it was killing you, but it was remaking you. Pressure is cruel. It doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't wait for you to be ready. It comes uninvited, ruthless, relentless. And yet, within its cruelty lies its greatest gift, transformation. Think of it. Coal is common. Coal burns. Coal breaks. Coal crumbles. But put coal under pressure for long enough and it becomes a diamond, rare, unbreakable, brilliant. The same is true of you. When life pressed you, when people mocked you, when the weight of the world sat on your chest, it wasn't burying you. It was refining you. Every betrayal taught you who not to trust. Every failure taught you how not to fall. Every scar taught you where your strength lives. Every ounce of pressure was chiseling you into something rare. History is filled with people forged under pressure. Look at Thomas Edison. Thousands of failed experiments, each one another hammer of doubt against him. People called him foolish, insane, a dreamer lost in smoke. But under that pressure he built the light that now keeps the world awake at night. Look at Nelson Mandela, 27 years in prison. Stripped of his freedom, left with nothing but time and silence, most would have broken. But that pressure didn't destroy him, it polished him. And when he emerged, he was not just a man. He was a leader, powerful enough to dismantle a system of oppression. Look at Muhammad Ali. He was mocked, stripped of his titles, called arrogant, called finished. The pressure of the world's hate pressed on him, but instead of breaking, he used it. He came back, and every punch he threw was forged in that fire. Look even at nature. The tallest trees grow where storms hit hardest. The strongest steel is tempered in the hottest flames. The brightest stars are born from collapsing pressure in the dark. Over and over, the universe whispers the same lesson. Pressure doesn't break the chosen, pressure reveals them. And so it was with you, the pressure you felt, the weight you carried, the loneliness that suffocated you. It wasn't meant to destroy you, it was meant to prepare you, to strip away your illusions, your weaknesses, dependence on others, to burn off everything soft until only the unbreakable remained. You see, applause never makes you stronger. Easy roads never shape giants. Comfort never creates legends. It is pressure that does the work. Pressure that breaks egos, bends knees, and then builds something fierce from the ruins. This is why the very people who try to crush you will regret it. Because they were your pressure. Their doubt was the weight on your shoulders. Their betrayal was the fire in your lungs. Their laughter was the storm in your veins. And while they thought they were burying you, they were actually sculpting you into someone beyond their reach. But here's the twist. Pressure doesn't only change what you are, it changes what you believe you are. When you survived nights you thought would kill you, you stopped fearing darkness. When you endured pain that felt unbearable, you stopped underestimating your strength. When you carried weight you thought was too heavy, you realized you could carry anything. And that realization, that quiet, unshakable belief in your own survival is what makes you dangerous. Because now, no matter what comes, you know the truth. You cannot be broken. Not by their words, not by their laughter, not even by the pressure itself. Imagine it. The same people who mocked you once, who whispered about your failure, who celebrated your struggles, they see you now. But what they don't see is the battle you fought in silence. What they don't see is the hours of pain that became hours of growth. What they don't see is that every piece they thought they shattered was reforged under pressure into something brilliant. Now, when you walk into a room, you don't carry the same weight. You carry the shine of a diamond. They don't laugh anymore, they don't whisper anymore, because they can't. Their words can't touch you, their doubt can't break you. The pressure they put you under didn't end you, it birthed you. And here lies the climax of chapter 2. They tried to break you into pieces. They tried to bury you under pressure. They thought you would crumble like coal. But what they didn't know, what they could never understand, is that coal and diamonds share the same beginning. The only difference is pressure, and you endured it. You survived it. You became it. And in chapter 3, they will finally face what they feared most, not the pieces they left behind, but the diamond they could never break.